If you would like to listen to the podcast, you can go on WCLU.com and click on the video link and watch the McDonald's podcast with game film. And back with Coach Griffith. Coach Griffith, we talked about the game already, talked about some of these seniors that we're going to be losing and big shoes to fill. Going forward, I think about the kids that we had step up this year, underclassmen. Kyle Roach, a kid who'd not played football the last couple years, came in, ended up getting a starting spot, and had ended up with an interception, a couple fumble recoveries, and then you go and you begin to look and end up recording 6 tackles on the season, and just has done a fantastic job for us there at the corner spot.
Well, I noticed, when we first started in August, Kyle's got great footwork and is one of our more athletic guys. And, ultimately we got back there and we threw him in at corner and he kind of took to playing the position and has done a really good job. And so, we're going to expect big things from Kyle going into next year.
Yeah, one kid that has been a constant for us all year and that I feel like has done a phenomenal job and probably one of his hardest working kids that I've ever seen, and that's Grant Bowen. Grant played some at that corner spot, moved him up to that strong safety spot. Didn't matter where you put him, whether it was on defense, special teams. If I'm not mistaken, I think Grant he even came in and played some at a receiver spot a few times for us on offense. But Grant recording on the season 49 tackles. I don't know, but it just seemed like that wherever the football was, you could just figure number 10 was going to be there.
Well, he's our best special teams player, and he's always as you said, around the football, and has played a lot as a sophomore last year and got beat up a little bit, and then this year, he brings a level of toughness to our team, and going into next year, he's going to have to be one of our main guys and leaders, and really be a guy that makes plays for us on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, another one of our kids, and of course Grant, along with Matthew Bellamy, have started and played quite a bit of varsity ball. Bellamy recording 15 tackles, playing that corner position also. And then also Rigsby coming in I think he's a sophomore, coming in, Blaine Rigsby, and playing some. And Blaine has done a fine job at playing on special teams and also on the defensive side of the ball. So there are some bright spots coming along that you see some of these younger guys that didn't get to see the field a lot, but when they did, you could talk about them.
Well, I feel good about what we have coming back in terms of our defensive secondary. Pretty much our entire secondary comes back when you throw in Zach New, our free safety, in there. And all of those guys have played a lot of football, so it's certainly something to build around on the defensive side of the ball. And, we've got to do a lot of work with developing some guys up front on our defensive line at our linebacker positions. But, I think we've got guys in our program that are ready to go to work and get their opportunity to play some football at the varsity level.
Absolutely. And of course, Zach New, there at our safety position, recorded 23 tackles on the season. Another one of those kids, an exceptional young man, always wanting to work hard, wanting to get better. So, like you said, our secondary is going to be our most experienced spot on the field next year as we come back. Talking about up front, one kid's name that just immediately comes to mind, Chris Aguero. Came in, played a lot for us at that nose position this year, gives up a lot of size and a lot of weight. Still recorded 16 tackles, and I think he had maybe 3 or 4 sacks on the season. That's hard to do from that spot.
It is, and Chris is, the expectations are really going to rise for him next year because he's one of the few guys coming back that's played a lot in there. So we're going to expect a lot out of Chris, in our off-season program to put on some weight, get stronger, and if he can possibly be a little quicker even than he is right now. But he's a great young man. He loves to play football, and that's what we need.
Oh, absolutely. One kid that got hurt earlier in the season but had done a good job for us on special teams and also on the offensive side of the ball was Gibson Lowe. And, of course, Gibson just had an unfortunate accident happen over in Monroe County when he had a scare there. Never heard of that happening before, Coach.
I haven't either.
And then last week I was looking, and there was an NFL player that had a lacerated kidney, and I thought, my goodness, I'd never heard of that before, and here's twice. And then after I started looking, it's something that's common in the NFL. But, for a high school kid, and that's knocked Gibson out for pretty much since the Monroe County game.
Yeah, Gibson hasn't played since then. And, ironically, that was about when Gibson was really coming on as a junior and starting to play quite a bit and had 3 catches in that game, if I'm not mistaken. And, the funny, you said that it's a pretty common thing in the NFL, and it is, but it's usually because, NFL collisions are like train wrecks, and
Yep.
you expect it there. Gibson literally fell on the football, and that's how he got the injury. He didn't get hit or anything, and I thought he was just joking when he said, "No, I fell on the football." But that's how he got injured, and of course, something like that's not anything to mess with, and that cost him the rest of his season.
Yeah, of course, we've got coming back next year. Of course, Stanton Gott will be back next year for us. Ran the football. Stanton has played some defense in the past. Plays on special teams. Of course, he'll be one coming back. Matt Goldsmith, a kid who came on and has done a good job on special teams all year and has played hard. No matter where you put him, when he come in the game, he would always give it to you. J.J. Walters, a kid that run the ball a lot for us in JV, I know, played some special teams, ended up with some nagging injuries toward the end of the year. Ty Springer, another junior, that ended up having an injury and been out and was starting to play some as well for us on the offensive side of the football. So, definitely some bright spots and some things to build around as the year comes back around for our 2016 season.
Well, the funny thing is, graduation happens every year, and it happens to every team, and it'll be a lot of new names and new faces, but we feel like we've got some guys in our program that can be good football players, and we have a long way to go in terms of developing those guys, but we'll get started real serious in January, and we'll have about 8 months there to get everybody physically and mentally ready to go, and I think we've got some kids that can play coming up, and hope to have a good football team in 2016.
Yeah, another kid, of course, Cooper Mannion is a kid that had an unfortunate thing happen to him back one of our 7-on-7s. Ended up having to have shoulder surgery and was out for, I don't know, probably 8 to 10 weeks, and has just never been able to get back in and really go full speed again.
Well, I don't think he had shoulder surgery, but he probably needs it.
Okay.
but no, he's a guy that, the last 2 or 3 weeks here has actually played a little bit, and it is unfortunate that he got injured there. He got about the middle of July, one of our 7-on-7s, because he's a guy that would have been a guy that played quite a bit probably this year. So again, we've got some guys that a lot of people may not know their names, but we're hoping that with a good off season, develop and become good players for us.
One kid I'm going to mention, and folks will probably give me a hard time about it, but is Isaac Atwell. Isaac had been a 2-year starter.
Come on, Daddy.
Yeah, come on in here. Had been a 2-year starter, and just an unfortunate thing, tore an ACL at the beginning of the year, and never played a snap all year long, and was going to be, one of those kids that was going to help us in the passing game. I mean, had come on as tight end and was doing well in 7-on-7, playing some at that outside linebacker spot, and he was going to help us.
Well, there's no question. Isaac was one of our best players coming out of the preseason camp, and on both sides of the ball. And Coach Lindsey and I used to say when we would have our team periods at the end, whichever side of the ball Isaac's on that day, that's the side of the ball that's going to win. And it was just an unfortunate thing. He got hurt in our first preseason scrimmage there against Louisville Butler, and he missed the entire season. And that really took the wind out of our sails, losing Isaac there that early, because we had all these plans for him at tight end, and then Ty Hay getting hurt the Monday of the next week, and we were just kind of trying to find ourselves there for a while and what we were doing. But Isaac said got that knee well, and he's going to work his tail off, and he'll come back and he'll have a great senior season.
Well, Coach, it's been it's been an up and down year, but first year at the helm. Nobody ever expects to come in and just to have a 10-0 season on their first season there. And like you said, you're bringing in a whole new offense, a whole new defensive scheme, and first thing you've got to do is you got to get the kids to buy into it and get them to trust you on what you're calling and what you're doing. I think we begin to see that happen at the end of the year and begin to turn the corner. looking forward to a 2016 season, just to see, we are going to miss all those seniors that we talked about in some key positions on the field. When you've got a kid that that looks like they're everywhere on the field, I guess he's our number one tackler this year in Zach Sneed with 64 tackles. You're going to miss that coming up next year. And then all those other kids that just all over the field at lineman, at receiver, at quarterback, at running back, all of those guys that just, it's hard to replace those guys. But just like you said, that graduation is going to come every year, and you better be making plans on what you got coming up next year. And really at this point, what you had at the end of this year, but you hope every one of those kids are going to come back. But what you're hoping is that they're going to go get a buddy and bring him back out that may not played for a couple years. And you're hoping that next year that you might graduate 25 seniors.
Yeah, I told our guys after the game on Thursday night, in particular our seniors, anytime there's a coaching change, and this being my first year, that tends to always be the hardest on seniors. But this group of seniors and really embraced what the changes that we were making offensively and defensively, and worked their tails off and did everything they were asked to do. There couldn't have been a smoother transition for me as the head coach, and I hope for them as the players as me being their head coach. And they just did a great job, and I told them that last night, and I appreciated it. And it's a special group of young guys. But in saying that, graduation happens every year, and this is a group of seniors that has played here. And I also told our team this as well. There's going to be some big shoes to fill, but you've got to be prepared to do it and step up and get the job done and go to work to do it, because it's not going to be given to you, and there's not going to be anything easy about it. Somebody's going to be playing the position of Andrew Hughes and Zach Sneed and Mason Perkins and all those guys that are going to be graduating. We got to find us another Nick Mabe at wide receiver, and Ty Hay and all those other guys that have played a lot of football here over the last 2 and 3 years. But you know what? It happens at every school. It happens at across the state. Graduation is going to happen. You don't get to play high school football all your life. You get 4 years to do it and make the most of it, and then enjoy it.
That's right. Well, Coach, appreciate the opportunity to sit down with you each week and to talk about the game and what's taking place the night before on Friday night. And it's been good to sit down with you each week, and I've enjoyed it thoroughly.
Well, thank you, Brad. I enjoy. We meet down, do these shows at some strange times sometimes, but I've enjoyed it, and it's been a good year for the Trojans in the way we finished up here, and I'm looking forward to 2016.
Well, folks, we want to thank you for joining us each week on Ask the Coach on WCOU Sports with Coach Jeff Griffith of the Barron County Trojans. And we want you to continue to support the local schools and the local teams. We know that basketball season's coming up, and Coach, I think the Trojans have about as good a shot as they've had in a long time for a good basketball season as well, and got some the sports is just going to continue to go on, and then spring's going to come, and it's going to seem like about a month and a half, and football is going to be back around. So we just want to remind everybody that go over there and mark August on your calendar for next year and say that's when the football season is going to start. But Coach, I know that football season is going to start next week. That some of those boys are going to be in that weight room, and they're going to be working in off season. They're going to work hard all spring and summer just to get ready to play next fall, and a lot of time and effort goes into it. If you don't have if you don't have someone or know someone that participates in that, you just have no idea how much time and effort those kids put into it, and coaches as well. We want to thank McDonald's of Glasgow for sponsoring Ask the Coach podcast each week with game film. And so if you get a chance, go by McDonald's of Glasgow, buy you a sweet tea or a Big Mac. And if you call me or Coach Griffith one, I'm sure we'll go eat with you. And we'll look forward to 2016. And again, we want to thank all of our seniors from the 2016 class, graduating class, our 2015 senior football players. All those guys and their families, they have become part of our family over the last 7 or 8 years, Coach, and got to spend a lot of time with these folks. And I'm going to miss that part of that camaraderie come next year. But we're just excited for these young men to what they're going to go on and be in our community. and what they're going to do in life. So, folks, until 2016 Trojan football starts again, for Brad Atwell and Coach Jeff Griffith, we want to say thank you for joining us each week on Ask the Coach on WCOU Sports.